Okay. All right, we have spawned in to our first raid, and we do not know what's going on. This looks drastically different from the tutorial that I saw. Hey everyone, long time no see. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you my first impressions, my pros and cons list of a new extraction shooter called Active Matter. The new PvP VE extraction shooter that is made by Gaijin Entertainment. These are the folks that created War Thunder, that created Enlisted. So they've gave their spin on the extraction shooter genre with this game. You can currently get this game by going to their website and purchasing it. I basically just Googled Active Matter, found the website that way, and then ended up downloading the game from the Active Matter website, which I think is actually activemattergame.co or .com or something like that. So I'll put it down in the description of this video just so you can easily access it there. The only thing I will say when it comes to this pros and cons list, this is, again, I've probably put several hours in this game at this point. Not hundreds of hours by any means. I've put several hours into it. So I wanted to give you a pros and cons list on this in case it's something you think you might vibe with. Another way to look at this game too is it's almost like if the Stalker franchise and the Tarkov franchise kind of had a baby. You'll hear a lot of content creators making that reference because that's kind of what it is to a degree. It's not as hardcore as Tarkov in some aspects, but it is more hardcore in other aspects. And then you have all of like the different AI that you encounter as well as the players. So we're going to jump straight into this so I can get talking about my pros and cons list. Keep in mind, it is early access. It is in beta right now. So it's not perfect. It does need work. And I'm sure with enough love from the developers, it could be something very fun to play and very unique to the genre. All right, first up is the environment of the game. The world of Active Matter nails the atmosphere, in my opinion. It seems to be very dark, gritty, and has a post-apocalyptic feel. It makes you kind of feel like different timelines and stuff have bled together. I mean, and after all, they do call this the quote-unquote multiverse. So you'll notice things like I've noticed tanks that are sitting out in the field that are blown apart that look like World War II era tanks. So I'm kind of curious if maybe that ties in somehow with Enlisted. But again, the environment feels great. That you're walking through the environment. You're always on edge because you just never know where danger is going to be. You always feel like everything's out to get you. And what I mean by everything is out to get you is all the AI. I mean, there's distorted, which are like these ghostly looking human appearing figures that like phase in and out of the environment and get closer to you and attack you. There's flower men that look like bushes. You get too close, they aggro, they come running at you in packs. There's hellhounds that are on all fours with human looking like type faces that chase after you. So there's multiple different types of AI that are out there, as well as some of the other off the wall AI. So you're always constantly like you're in, so that's like you feel immersed is what I'm trying to get at here. Like you feel immersed in the environment and everything going on. That's the first thing I would like to cover. They've done a great job with the environment. Now, the second thing I would like to cover is obviously going to be the gunplay. I feel like overall the gunplay feels pretty good. Now there are weapon attachments and stuff like that you can get to, help increase with some of that. The guns do need a little bit of work on the recoil, but for the most part they feel really good. Like I found out using a shotgun against most of the AI is incredibly effective versus using a submachine gun or a pistol, right? Maybe that's a little tip for you. If you go to play and you have a shotgun handy, maybe keep it as a secondary in case you run into a bunch of AI, because it is very effective against most of the creatures. And sometimes when you're fighting some of this AI, it is truly terrifying, the things that are happening to you as you're trying to get through it and, and just survive that raid. And while other players are a threat, yes, they are, in my opinion, not near as big of a threat as most of the AI. So that covers my first two pros about this game so far. Is one, the environment being the major pro there. It's probably the best thing this game has going for it. Two, the gunplay is good, even though it does need some reworks as far as recoil and stuff like that goes. Overall, it is good and feels good. Now, speaking of things in the environment, there are things called anomalies that pop up throughout each raid, and you get notifications from your little voice assistant that tells you to go check those things out. Some of those can be dangerous, and there are some that aren't so dangerous, like gravitational walls. You learn about those in the tutorial of the game, but they're really cool because it's not just on a wall. You'll see them on the sides of like the apartment building, on one of the very first maps you'll play. Um, so the basically what that does, it allows you to traverse in ways that you normally would not traverse. So it turns your point of view to where it looks normal to you, but to everyone else, it looks like you're walking up the wall, right? There are little puzzle tricks you can do for some of them. Like there's one area where we found buses that you can like go up the buses that were floating in the sky, get some active matter, come back down. So yeah, they're really cool. They're very trippy. So my two buddies I played with, they didn't really enjoy it as much as I did. They were kind of struggling a little bit with being able to get up them in a safe manner. One of my buddies took off running and like launched himself off the other side because he didn't make the turn fast enough and went flying off and fell to his death. So, but I find them to be really cool. It's a different way of traversing the environment, and I enjoy those quite a bit. And then my last pro will also be a con to a certain degree later on in this video, but it is the creatures that you encounter in the AI. So even when you're not seeing other players, you're never going to be comfortable in this game because you're going to feel like there's always something there to come after you, or something that's you're going to accidentally aggro, and then next thing you know, you have a swarm of enemies coming after you. So this does force you to stay alert to what you're walking past or walking towards, and it knowing whether or not you could take that fight with the AI, whether you're low on ammo or low on meds, makes you have to make those decisions while you're under pressure to a degree. So that tension there is what makes some of the raids in this game very super fun, and replayable as well. So with that being said, we've covered all my pros. Those pros being the environment being the biggest one for the game right now. The gunplay overall is good. And then the anomalies you can encounter are very fun aspects to the environment as well. So they kind of tie together. And then the AI, the different types of AI and stuff that you have to encounter. With that being said, at this point, we're going to go ahead and move on to my cons video, or not video, but my cons list for this video is what I was trying to say. So let's jump over to that and let's get that rolling. All right, so the first con that I noticed when it came to active matter was the menus. Now, after several hours of playing, I'm starting to get a basic understanding of the menus and how they flow. But upon first use, they were confusing. The map menu where you go to deploy out of, select your quest, understanding how the quest worked wasn't very clear when doing that. So my squad members and we kind of struggled to begin with, and maybe that's just us, but we feel like the UI overall when you're inside your hideout could use some love. Knowing how to unlock the refiner, that like I had it unlocked before my teammates, and I had no idea how I unlocked it. And my teammates, after digging around the menu or the map, the task and all that stuff for about 5 minutes, they finally figured out it was because I'd already ran like 2 raids in a certain map. That's how it got unlocked. I had no clue that I even did that. I thought it was just because I had like leveled up or something. So that's very it needs work. It needs some work. The UI for your character, the inventory, all of that needs some work as well. That's the biggest con we found on the first night of playing the game. And then the second thing that we found was was looting, and the aspect of you get into a PvP fight, say you win that fight, you and your squad win that fight, which we did a few times. There was an instance where like I had went down first, and my squad finished off the remainder of the enemies, and then they started looting. Well, when a PMC or a player character dies, they drop all of their like helmets, their guns, and all that stuff on the ground. It doesn't stay on their body. So when you go to loot, you see those items in the nearby area if you're close enough to them while looting the body. And in some instances, like there was a case where they were looting an enemy body, they picked up my gun, because it was showing up in their area and they thought it was the other player's gun, but it was my weapon. So then we had to like figure out how to drop that. So I think the biggest change I can make there is make it to where when players die, that their helmets and weapons don't go flying off their body and land somewhere near them. Instead, they stay on the body and you're able to loot it off the body and make it a lot more enjoyable experience. And then the last couple of cons I'm going to have here is going to be the sheer amount of the AI that you're going to have. So what I mean by that is it's not too horrible when you run into the flowerman and you get 4 or 5 coming after you. You can manage that. But then if you stay in that area and you start looting, well, then all of a sudden it feels like that AI is respawning, and then they're coming after you again. So I feel like maybe there's a respawn timer that needs to be corrected for the AI. There are some instances too where I'm on the 4th floor of an apartment building and I've just killed a player up there, and then AI that's outside on the main road comes running up into the building all the way up to the 4th floor, and then they just start, pressuring you in there, like swarming you inside the room you're in. And I feel like that happens way too often. I mean, I've had scenarios where the hellhounds just come pushing in. I, end up clearing them all up. I go back to looting. I'm fine. And then out of nowhere, another pack of hellhounds come out of nowhere, and I've got 4 to 6 more coming after me. And then now I'm in a dire straight scenario because it's like I just, less than 5 minutes ago, just wiped out all these hellhounds, and now they're back. So I feel like the sheer amount of AI that appears or respawns or the timers or whatever, there's an issue there that needs to be addressed. Because it's like, again, you can clear the whole area, go to start doing what you're doing, and then next you know, everything's respawned and it's coming back after you. So that definitely needs to be addressed, in my opinion, to make this game more enjoyable. And then my last con, just to keep it short and sweet here, is directional sound work. I feel like sometimes it just doesn't work that well. So if the devs could work on that a little bit and make it more pronounced on the direction, that would help greatly as well. So overall, with Active Matter, this game does have some amazing potential that I do see that could be built upon. However, things like the menus, the looting system, and then the overwhelming amounts of the AI definitely need some serious tweaks. With that being said, I have been having fun with Active Matter, and I'm really curious to see where Gaijin takes the game as it develops. If they can polish some of these systems and smooth out some of the difficulty spikes with the AI, this could become a standout in the extraction shooter genre. But as always, I would like to hear from you. So if you could, down in the comments, just let me know. Have you guys tried Active Matter yet? And if so, what's been your experience with the game? Do you agree with some of the cons I have, or do you not agree? So just drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's chat about it. And as always, this wouldn't be a YouTube video if I didn't say it. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and share this video with a friend, as I appreciate any and all support. And I'll see you in the multiverse.